Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Dan and Kev's Wrestling Talk Show, where it's been probably 2 months, but it feels like 2 years
Three,
since we've gone live.
3 months.
Three
With
months.
three
There you
months.
go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Check.
To just fill you all in, me and Kev decided to just have a little bit of a break leading up to Christmas. We're both really busy, and we felt like the best thing to do was get everything done that needed doing and hit it hard in the new year. So you can expect a lot more content from both of us individually and together moving forward. We both have lots of plans for this year. Now it feels like we're kind of getting somewhere with COVID and all this, and life's
Yeah.
starting to get a little bit more normal. You can expect a lot more content from us both. But I'll be honest, mate, I'm going to lean over to you here, to be honest, because I have absolutely no idea where to start, because you take 3 months off in this when you
I know.
a content creator in the world of wrestling, and it feels like you're always going to be playing catch up. Like you're just never going to be able to cover everything that we've missed. So
Yeah. There's been like release after release. There's been 3 months. We haven't done this for 3 months. In those 3 months, we've had loads of releases.
yeah,
It's just mad, isn't it? It's just a bit mad.
yeah, it's releases and title changes and talking points and drama and fallings out and rumors, and yeah, a lot.
Yeah, the Intercontinental belt though hasn't been defended. I just want to point this out. That the Intercontinental belt, that's the old one, hasn't been defended since Shinsuke Nakamura won it on the second night of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't really know.
He won it and has not defended it since.
Yeah, it's funny that because I kind of, yeah, I do you know, I'd actually not even clocked that. Yeah, obviously I knew that he hadn't defended it much, but I've kind of felt for a while now that both the United States and the Intercontinental title have taken a bit more of a back seat than what I would personally like, because when WWE was at its best for me, the Intercontinental and the United States titles were seen as just as important as the WWE title.
Oh, yeah.
And they almost feel like a bit of a joke title now. Like, I mean, when you think that the bloody 24/7 title gets 10 times more TV time than what the Intercontinental and United States title do, something's not quite right there, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's going back to the 24/7 title. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on with that at the moment.
I don't think they do, mate. I don't think they know what's going on.
They've got Dana Brooke, right, and no one's pinning her. It's like, I'm sure women have held it before and have been pinned, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's a way of giving them R-Truth, Reggie and all them lot some TV time, but I just don't get it.
No, I've to be honest, I've never been a fan of it, because what does it achieve? Because people say, oh, but it gives people TV time that wouldn't get TV time. I think if you turn around to any of those wrestlers and ask them, is this the sort of TV time you want, where you're just a joke, just running around like a headless chicken, not doing anything, and you're seen as just a 5-minute joke segment? No one wants that. Like, I think you would rather not be on TV than be put on TV to just have people take the mick out of you. And it doesn't serve any positive purpose, in my opinion. When it first got unveiled by Mick Foley, everyone was a bit like, "Oh, what's this going to be? Is it going to be like the hardcore title? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that?" And it was like, and straight away that week we went, "Oh no, it's not. It's not going to be anything like that." And it's just, like I said, if that was me and I was Reggie, R-Truth, Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak, if I was any of them, I would rather not be on TV than have that.
Have that, yeah. I don't know I think the understanding was it was like it's this era's hardcore title race, basically, without the hardcore in it. So it's just like it is to 24/7 belt, and they've used it. I think it's a way of getting over certain things as well. So they've had celebrities win it and stuff like that. It's just like you're saying, it's a gimmick title, other than something to sort of like hold, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know where they're going with Dana with this. I'm wondering whether they've just gone, well, we can't keep putting it on the same four guys. And they're like, well, we've got Dana Brooke over here. She's doing nothing since Mandy left. Give it to her. And then they're like, well, who else do we need? Who else? We need another woman to throw in there. Tamina's not doing anything. Let's throw her in there.
yeah,
And it's just like,
exactly. But
but yeah.
there's a lot
And then
wrong.
you've got, obviously, we've had so much happen on NXT as well, where, yeah, and I want to really discuss that because I put
Yeah,
a
I do.
post up on our group
Yeah,
that said, I've said it to you as well. I think I messaged you and said NXT became a success of its own failure, if you know what I mean. It became so
yeah,
successful
yeah.
down to Doom itself because I put on a post saying that the progression stopped as soon as it stopped becoming developmental. That I think became the end of NXT because NXT
Yeah.
was always developmental. It was always going to develop the next stars, and then you got to think years ago. It was an hour long show. That's all it was. It was only on the network. You could only watch it on the network. It was only an hour long, and then they went, "Oh, we're putting it on USA for 2 hours." And when that happened, that's when it all went away. And
Yeah.
Triple H. And then what happened was there was no progression in NXT. You watched as soon as it went for 2 hours, the same five top guys were always top.
Look,
Undisputed
I'm really glad that you brought up NXT. And by the way, if you can ever plug yourself. So if anyone wants to join our group, go on Facebook. It's called All
Yeah,
Wrestling Community.
yeah,
And yeah, join in over there. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm really glad you brought up NXT because for me, again, I always like to. I think it's just the way my brain works. I really do try my best. And look, I'll hold my
yeah,
hands up and I'll be the first to admit I do sometimes fail and I do sometimes get very single-minded. But I do try my best when I can to try and see both sides of it. And that is what I've tried to do with NXT and
yeah,
where I've kind of landed. But you're talking like this week, I've kind of, settled on it. And for me, I think, yeah, I think you're absolutely bang on. I think it did end up becoming a failure based off the back of its own success. It got to a point where it had reached the heights that it couldn't go any higher. And when you get to that point, you're only going to go one way. Once you've reached your absolute limit, the only
yeah,
way from there is down because they made a lot of poor choices. And people saying, how, and I've been victim of saying it myself because you're passionate about it, and it's so easy to say, what must Triple H be feeling? What he's created, Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard have absolutely shit all over it, and it's like, yeah, fair enough, and I've said that myself, and then when you really take a sit back and you think about it, you go, well, hang on a minute, it started going downhill way before Triple H had his heart attack,
yeah,
way
yeah, yeah.
before. It did start going downhill when
Yeah,
it went to the USA Network. That was when it did start going downhill. And like you've just said, NXT has always been developmental. And yes, I did like it when it was seen as a third brand. But what WWE did, and for me, their biggest flaw is once NXT did, okay, they're a part of Survivor Series, and then they win Survivor Series, and then it on the USA Network. It had gone from 1 hour to 2 hours, and it was reaching that point. They then didn't do anything to sustain it because they didn't bring up talent that was ready, and they brought up the young ones and left
yeah,
the older ones there
yeah,
to kind of stagnate. And it was like, well, what have I been working my ass off for the last 5 years? Putting on all, doing all this incredible stuff to eventually go up to Raw and SmackDown. But then within WWE, and it was all of them. And at the end of the day, the book does stop with Vince McMahon. He still has the final say on everything. And the fact is, Vince got it wrong because he didn't then push NXT. It
no,
was like he added it to Survivor Series, and it was like, it's going from 1 hour to 2 hours. It's going to the USA Network. It's now a third brand. But then you can tell, you can feel it. Vince didn't see it as a third brand. He's
No.
still seen it as the higher ups in WWE
Mental.
treated NXT as developmental, but as a fan, it was being portrayed by it being on this much larger scale as being a third brand, but it was never treated that way by the people
Anyone.
at the heights of
Yeah.
the company. So then what ended up happening for me was you then had, explain to me how it is a good idea to take Ridge Holland up over Pete Dunne. You stick them together as a tag team because you thought, well,
Yeah.
we like Ridge Holland. We're going to give him some experience. We're going to get him in a tag team with another English guy, and we're going to develop him. And then they go, oh, well, actually, we're going to, because of all these releases, we're going to bring someone up to the main roster. How is it a good idea if you, in your mind, think NXT's are for developmental? Pete Dunne's been doing this for over a decade. He's more than ready. Ridge Holland isn't. I'll take Ridge Holland up.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So
No.
then they rebrand it into the NXT 2.0, and it's already been failing, which is why they rebranded it into 2.0, because it had already been really going down the pan fast. And then what they did was, this is a fresh look. This is all for the young guys. But then who did they take up to the main roster? Well, they took up Hit Row that was young and weren't ready for it. And I think they knew straight away. They had 3 or 4 weeks on SmackDown, and I think all 4 of them went, shit, I weren't ready for this. They then
I think as well, NXT was like the developmental when Dusty was there, and and they were all sort of, the old school people. So we're going back to like, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. When they moved from there to the main roster, they took the same gimmick with them. And they took like Roman Reigns changed and Seth Rollins and all them changed. And that was proper developmental. And like you're saying, I think when Triple H took the reins fully, I'm wondering whether he just thought, well, I can show what I can do. And the thing is, it came, I've got the T-shirt. It came like a hardcore fan base, and people said, this is the wrestling show that we want.
Yeah.
WWE, I think it was more scripted. It's less scripted it was as well. Yeah, so definitely. I think when someone went up and said, oh, this would be a good idea, Triple H, and him and Michaels looked at it and went, yeah, you can do that. Where on WWE, it's like, you do this. And they're like, but over in NXT, hey, mate, that was developmental. That was like the indies.
For me, one of the worst things I've heard in a long time, which really made me go, was what Rhea Ripley said on Corey Graves' After the Bell podcast. She said her first night on Raw, someone literally walked up to her and said, Vince McMahon had said to her, what you've been doing on NXT is good, but you're on Raw now. That ain't going to work. You're going to have to change.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, I know it's Vince McMahon. I know it's, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't have NXT if it weren't for Vince McMahon. We wouldn't have WWE if it weren't for Vince. He's done so much for us as wrestling fans that it's so hard to slag him off. But why? If what she was doing in NXT is what gained her a massive fan base, got her NXT UK champion, NXT champion, gained her this reputation of being such a phenomenally talented and seemingly experienced wrestler for someone who was only 23 years old at the time. She was, she was mature beyond her years. She wrestled like somebody that was 33 and not 23. Her gimmick was fantastic. She knew exactly who she was. In everything about her flowed perfectly because she knew who she was. She knew what her character would say. She knew what her character would do in any given situation. Why should she have to change because she's gone from NXT to Raw? She shouldn't.
And that is why NXT failed.
It is why it failed. But for me, because the final nail in the coffin for me for NXT, and I wonder if you agree with me on this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's now NXT 2.0. We're now telling you, the fan, NXT is developmental. That's what you're doing. By saying it's 2.0 and by actually putting out a statement saying we're focusing 2.0 and we're tulling it all with the idea of for the young guys to development. So it's going back to developmental.
Yeah.
So we know that. So why keep Dunn there? Why keep Ciampa there? Why keep Gargano there? At the time, why keep Adam Cole there? At the time, why keep Kyle O'Reilly there? Like, you wouldn't have lost Adam Cole. You wouldn't have lost Kyle O'Reilly. You wouldn't have lost Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's difficult because of his injury problems. Ciampa,
Because I think
the thing is,
I think what happened was when Triple H had his cardiac, there was like no one else in charge. And I think when they went down there, no Pritchard and all those, they went down there and went, "What the fuck's going on here?" And they were like,
yeah,
"Oh, the guys are sort of doing this and that," and they're like, "Don't you tell them what to do?" And they're like, "Well, kind of, but we suggest and they suggest, and then we go with a sort of medium." And they're like, "No, this is all wrong." And the reason is because what's happened was when Triple H was there, he'd get a phone call from Vince McMahon saying, "We need a couple of guys brought up," and he's got a list, and he's like, "Well, I can't send Dunn because he's brilliant on NXT. Undisputed Era, no, I've got them in a feud at the moment. You're not having any of them." And then it just goes down the list, and then you get people like you're saying right at the bottom, and there's well, you can have him, you can bring him up.
But for me, that's the final nail in the coffin, because what you do by doing that is you're now saying NXT 2.0 for developing young talent, and we're going back to developmental. So Carmelo Hayes and your Bron Breakker, and even still your Cameron Grimes and people like that.
Yeah.
So why is LA Knight still there? Why was Ciampa still why was Tommaso Ciampa the first NXT 2.0 champion if you're aiming it for the young guys? It doesn't make sense. Like what they should have done is all of those old guys that had built NXT, move them all up, and then everyone on Raw and SmackDown. Yeah, but Kev, they should have done this literally years ago. But the very last opportunity, if you're going to do it, is you move them up before you air the first episode of 2.0. The first episode of 2.0 is 100% young. It's your Cora Jade, your Bron Breakkers, obviously you can keep Mandy Rose there because Toxic Attraction's working, and Mandy Rose is helping Gigi Dolan and the other girl to. There are certain exceptions like that, but 95% of your experienced heads, your Pete Dunnes, your LA Knights, your Tommaso Ciampas, they've got to move up. But then you've got people going, but then Raw and SmackDown are too stacked. Right. So then it's a fight to the death like it was back in the Attitude Era and when it was in the in the Ruthless Aggression era, where you fought for your spot. Yeah. So, and if you're not good enough, if you're not putting the hard work in, you're not talented enough, you're not good enough on the mic, you're not good enough in the ring, you aren't willing to go above and beyond like other people are, then you will either be middle card, lower card, or not on TV, which is exactly what it was like back in the day. But that competition, that knowing if you weren't on your game, made you on your game. Because Triple H and Big Show and Kane and Taker and Cena and Edge and all these guys, they knew if they weren't absolutely on it, some young guy would come in and take their spot.
Yeah.
So it's not about, if you'd have took Joe and Ciampa up and Pete Dunne and LA Knight and you moved all of the experienced guys into Raw and SmackDown, it'd have been too stacked. Right. So then you're then whittling out. You've then got 4 tiers. You've then got top tier. So Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Your middle card range, Matt Riddle, Sheamus, Cesaro, your middle card. Then you've got your lower card ones. I hate to say this, but someone like a Ricochet and Muhammad Ali, Jesus Christ, Mustafa Ali. You've got your lower card ones that are used as filler matches, but also given the opportunity. Because like if Ricochet has a match on TV and they go, Jesus Christ, Ricochet was amazing there, we'll give him a match against someone bigger, and which is again what they did back in the day. But then you've got your 4th tier, which is if you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not hardworking enough, you're not determined enough. There's the door, and that's how cutthroat it was back in the day. But that breeded so much success. That competition for that top spot made everyone so good. And it's why so many of the matches were so much better back then, because now, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, they know where their spot is. They know they're up here. They know that they're not. Yes, they're talented and they're passionate in themselves and they do push themselves. But imagine what you would get out of a Seth Rollins and a Roman Reigns if they thought that their spot at the top was threatened. If someone says, right, Roman, you've now got Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream before he got sacked, because I very much believe in innocent until proven guilty. And WWE with Dream, as we've both said, it was very much guilty before innocent with them on that one. But you've got all these guys, right, Roman, you're now going up against all these. He's going to go, okay, no, shit. But they didn't do that. So now you've got, what is NXT 2.0? Because you're telling us that it's developmental for the young guys, but then you make your first ever 2.0 champion Tommaso Ciampa. Like it doesn't make it like I think they're moving.
I think they're moving because it was always Bron Breakker was always going to be their first 2.0 champion, always, right? I'm surprised it took this long, but maybe they done it to sort of build. Maybe they done it to build him. I see Mandy dropping the belt to Cora Jade because I think she's brilliant.
Yeah, she's for her age.
I've got a funny feeling that. Yeah, she's 19. You got to think she was on AEW as well, and they looked at her and thought, "Nah, she's not for us."
They literally thought she's too young.
Yeah, they. I'll tell you how much faith they had in her. She was beaten by Brandy Rhodes. If you go back, right to the start, she had a match with Brandy Rhodes and lost to Brandy Rhodes.
I remember, but can I just ask you a question, Kev?
Yeah.
How much better would this have been? Look, you've got to take risks, right? Life's about taking risks.
Yeah.
How many incredible moments have we had? Like Seth Rollins cashing at Mania.
Yeah.
There are risks that Seth takes, Vince McMahon takes. They bank on it. Oh, this is a risk, but we'll see what happens. Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle, they both say openly that they took many risks in their promos. Like we all remember Chris Jericho and you just made the list and all that. Like, that was complete. He didn't know that was going to work, but he took a gamble on it and it worked. They took a risk with NXT by giving it the opportunity to become a third brand, and they made it look like a third brand, but then they didn't get behind it. If Vince McMahon would have said, I want to make NXT a third brand and it not be developmental, I want 3 different brands, NXT would have been a success under Triple H. Vince clearly seen it as still developmental, and that was why it didn't work. But that mistake's already gone now. You've took the risk, you've not fully got behind it and pushed it, and that's why it fell by the wayside. You've now had to rebuild it. They've rebuilt it. Yeah. Just let me run you through this scenario, right?
Yeah.
They announce you have a week off. I wouldn't have aired in NXT that Wednesday. So you say this Wednesday is going to be the last episode of NXT. In 2 weeks' time, not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after is going to be the first episode of NXT 2.0. Tune in there. It's going to be a completely different show, right? That last episode of NXT is where you say goodbye to your Ciampas, your Coles, your O'Reillys, your Garganos. Yeah. They all get the opportunity, LA Knight, they get the opportunity to have a match and they say their goodbyes. We know they've got all of them. They're all going up to Raw or SmackDown. And NXT 2.0 2 weeks later starts, and all you've got Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, Joe Gacy, Cameron Grimes, Carmelo Hayes, Bron Breakker, that's your entire. Those guys are your whole roster. You're right or wrong, Kev. You're tuning in, going, "This is fresh. This is new. This is different."
Yeah, it's new. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think you hit nail on the head.
The first episode of NXT 2.0, Cole was still on it. Gargano was still on it. Ciampa was still. It's like I thought this was new and fresh. It doesn't feel new and fresh when it's.
I think the reason a lot of people went and negative it straight away was because of that fact, because it literally changed overnight. All the logos, the arena, everything changed, and everyone was like, "Hang on, what's happened here? Oh, it's 2.0. Yeah, but what's happened? Those guys are still here, and this is still happening." And I think that's why on New Year's Evil, it was a bit like a reset, because obviously Bron Breakker come out and broke the gold X.
What did you think of that?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know why it happened, to be fair. Why did he have to do that? I don't know.
I wouldn't
Maybe
have
it
done
was.
it.
Maybe it would have signed just to say, look, that's the old one. I'm the new guy now. This is 2.0 and kicking it through. And I understand why they did it. I understand they had it and they were like, look, we want to distance ourselves from the gold brand. That was the old time. And they were like, how do we do that over TV? Well, we get the new guy in and he kicks through the old sign. And I can understand why they did it, but I understand as well why it upset so many people backstage. And a lot of the releases recently, Road Dogg,
William Regal,
all of them. Regal's, do you know what? It's a damn right surprise that is, because Regal is WWE through and through.
Yeah,
he's a company man.
But
the rumors coming out the rumors coming out that all these guys released backstage because hated that segment. Pulled up and said that was disgusting. You shouldn't have done that. And they were like, "Bye then, bye, there's the door."
But I mean, you put on the group earlier that WWE have pulled everything of Triple H off the network. Are they getting rid of Triple H?
I don't know. I all the Raw and SmackDowns are still up. I know that. Even with Chris Benoit in. So,
but if they have pulled him off network, it doesn't look good.
No, and he's, he won't
be happy with that. Like he built the NXT brand, so Bron Breakker. None of this is Bron Breakker's fault. He's literally doing his job. He's been told to do that, and he's doing his job.
Yeah, he's been told to go out there, knock it through, and he's okay.
But for me, it's not just your Ciampa, Cole, Gargano, the recent NXT guys. Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and Kevin Owens and Shinsuke Nakamura and Asuka and Bayley and Banks, Charlotte, all of them that made NXT as great as it was, Sami Zayn, they all will be very, very offended and disrespected by that, because you are in effect spitting in the face of anyone that made Black and Gold NXT so good. Yeah. So of course, I'm surprised with William Regal, but people like Road Dogg and a lot of the other backstage producers that got booted, I'm not surprised if they're kicking off going, I don't like that. That's a disgrace.
Road Dogg's come in and out of WWE a few times, like he's mentioned on his tweet. They saved him. He's come in and out a few times as a producer, as a trainer. I still think that a lot of them will return. I think maybe they blew off a little bit of steam. Someone was down there and went, well, you can go then. And they've just gone, fine. And they've walked.
William Regal will be back. But if, let's just say for argument's sake, they don't, if you've got William Regal, Road Dogg, Triple H and Shawn Michaels setting up their own company, and they say, look, what NXT, what Black and Gold NXT was, that's what we're going to be recreating. How many people will tune in for that? Because when it was at its best, when NXT was at its best, it was better than anything Raw or SmackDown have done for probably the last decade. It was consistently brilliant.
That's because they, like I said, that's because
it wasn't scripted. It wasn't overproduced.
No. I think a lot of the time they were like, oh, we want to do this. And they were like, and they were more involved with their character, with promos, with doing everything. They were much more involved. And when they go to NXT, WWE, up in the main roster, they're told what to do. This is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. Where in NXT, they were like, oh, we want to do this, Triple H. Triple H will look and go, we don't do that. Or, okay, we could do that and we can tweak it a little bit. So there was more back to forth, where there isn't on the main roster. I think you're just told what to do and go out and do it. And like I said, that's why it done so well. That's why during the hardcore fans and stuff like that, that's why we loved it, because it was wrestling and they were sort of doing stuff that we all wanted and saying stuff, where in WWE it's more scripted. But saying that, some people like that. Like you're saying, Seth Rollins, he needs the scripting.
Yeah,
he works well with it. If they went, oh, go out, there's the mic, go out and say what you want, he would struggle.
Yeah, he would, and a few would. But look, let me ask you this: yes, all those guys I just mentioned, your Balors and all them, they will have been a bit like, I don't like that. I was a massive part of that Black and Gold NXT. That's disrespect. Like I get, and the producers that had worked backstage in NXT for years, Regal and Road Dogg and all the other producers, But how much Triple H you felt watching that? Like Vince and Pritchard are basically, they are shitting all over his greatest life career achievement in what Black and Gold NXT was. Like, if Triple H is that annoyed, I mean,
I don't know. I still think that Triple H is very. He's business. I think you can see.
I think Triple H has had more influence than what a lot of people realize on all of this.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, they got rid of Samoa Joe, and they got rid of, and they were like, they must have gone to him or Michaels first and gone, what about this? Or you don't know because obviously then Triple H reappointed him. So I'm wondering whether some stuff went round the back and he was like, whoa, hang on a minute. But I do agree when he says, I do think that he turned around and went, oh, they've released all these guys, and he was like, okay. Well, what do you disagree with?
The only one I disagree with is William Regal, and that's just because the guy's a genius. The guy's mind for wrestling, that is a huge loss.
The same with Paul Heyman. The guy's a bloody genius, and it's like he shouldn't be coming out and talking on the mic. You should get Paul Heyman writing the shit out the back and telling them what to say and do, and running the show like he was before. But I've got a funny feeling that there's too much interference, if you know what I mean. So Paul Heyman's like, this is the show, and then you've got Pritchard and Vince going, no, we can't do that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not. And it's like, this is why he left in the first place, I think, when he was the producer before. And he went, there's too much interference. There's too much hearsay. I'm leaving. I can't, everything I'm saying is getting shut down, and I'm the one who's supposed to be running the show. And I think that's the problem.
I absolutely love Samoa Joe, but I agree with the releasing of him from both parts. It's the best thing for both. Look, Samoa Joe clearly has a lot of injury problems. He came back. He came back after not having a match for 2 years because of multiple injuries. Had one match, got re-injured again, and wasn't medically cleared. He had one match, won the belt off Karrion Kross, and then they were like, "You're not medically cleared. We don't feel safe. You wrestling." WWE have very, very strict, medical doctors. They're very, very strict now on medical clearance and stuff. Because if you think that, Sting wasn't, they told him you would never be medically cleared. AEW happily medically cleared him. I think that there's a few independent doctors that would have medically cleared Paige. If Paige got herself out of a WWE contract and went to AEW or Impact, she would be able to wrestle. WWE won't let her. Whether that's changed or not, I've been at things that she's putting out on Twitter. It really makes me think that she's coming back in a couple of weeks at the Rumble.
I think she put as well, didn't she? I think Alexa Bliss put her back saying, "I can't wait for this."
I don't know that one.
That's my Alexa going. And
sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa, shush. She's gone off now. Yes. So also as well, Paige said, it's been so long, I can't wait to get back and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And I've missed you guys and all this sort of stuff she keeps putting. So, the thing that I've stuck with WWE and I've watched AEW, and there's a lot of guys that go, oh, I can't watch this anymore, or this is rubbish. For a fact when she comes out, everyone's going to pour back in and go, oh, I love it now. She's great. I hope they do stuff with her and all this sort of stuff. I think if she comes back, I don't think she's going to win it. And I reckon they should build it slowly and not just immediately go, there's your title shot. Yeah, because
they should do with her what they've done with Edge. Edge hasn't won a belt since he's come back. He came back nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of those. I want to just point out the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of matches on that card, which I would have saved for Mania.
Yeah.
The Miz and Maurice and Phoenix and Edge, I would have saved for Mania. I think you could have made that a big spectacle, you know. And I always knew they were going to have a mixed tag team match. That was always on the cards by what was going on. And then you've also got Bobby Lashley versus obviously Brock Lesnar. And I reckon that's a WrestleMania pay-per-view right there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I just want to very, very quickly go back to the Samoa Joe point because I want to finish that.
Yeah.
The Samoa Joe thing.
Yeah.
They won't medically clear him, right? They wanted him to be a coach, to coach the younger guys on 2.0. They wanted him to be a scout, to go out and find new talent, and he'd have been great at that. But he isn't ready for that yet. Joe will come back to the WWE and he will work in that capacity. Right now, in his head, Joe's going, I'm not done. I'm not finished. I want to wrestle. So if WWE, look, Daniel Bryan working at Impact or Ring of Honor doesn't get 3 years of his career robbed because he'd have got medically cleared. But again, we don't know at that time if WWE wouldn't have, made him retire on medical grounds. We don't know what would have happened. And Edge, just because Edge had 10 years away where his body wasn't taking that stress, that has given him his neck time to heal. If WWE had cleared him and had carried on wrestling, he might be paralyzed now in a wheelchair. We don't know. At the end of the day, all we know is WWE are very, very strict with their medical clearance, and they haven't medically cleared Joe. And Joe's going, well, fuck you then. I want to wrestle. And WWE are saying, well, we don't think that we don't feel safe allowing you to wrestle because you could seriously hurt yourself or somebody else. That's fine then. Go your separate ways. Everyone going, with WWE got rid of Joe. This is a disgrace. It's not a disgrace. It's not a disgrace at all. This is business.
It's not only that,
at the end of the day, Joe wants to wrestle. WWE is saying, we don't feel comfortable allowing you to get in a ring without hurting yourself or your opponent. So we're not medically clearing you. So go in your separate ways when you have two different goals. WWE go, we love you, Joe. We want you to be a coach and a scout. And Joe's going, well, I'm not done wrestling. Fine. Yeah. Go away, wrestle somewhere else. We hope and pray you don't seriously injure yourself. And in a couple of years' time, when you think, I'm happy to hang up my boots now, come back to us. The Joe one isn't a disgrace. The Regal one, I agree. I think is a massive, massive loss for WWE. But we weren't there. Yes, Regal's put out on his social media that he won't have a bad word said about WWE. But how do we know that he hasn't stormed into Vince McMahon's office and gone, you're a fucking prick? We don't know. Now he's calmed down. Now he might be saying, I'm not going to slag WWE off because they've given me so much. Yeah, of course, William Regal's such a lovely guy, he's going to do that. But if he's backstage and he sees Braun Baker walk out and be like NXT and it's wound him up that much, he's turned around to Pritchard or Vince and he's gone, you're a fucking wanker. What have you done that for? You're a disgrace. You're spitting in the face of everything. Me and Michael and Triple H. Of what we've created for the last 10 years. You're a fucking knob. Like, we don't know how bad he's kicked off. And if he's kicked off that bad, that they've gone, look, we ain't having you speaking to us like that. We are running an NXT 2.0 and this is what we want to do. If you don't like it, fuck off.
Yeah.
And we as fans, we're on Regal's side. But the breakdown in that relationship leading to WWE releasing him, we don't know how bad it was because we weren't there. The only people who know is the people who was in that room.
And I don't think he'll ever say. He might bring a book out or something like that, but I don't think we'll ever know. There's always two sides to every story as well.
Of course there is, yeah.
Just before I go on to the Royal Rumble, I want to say, firstly, I'm worried for NXT UK.
Yeah.
With what's going on now and them cancelling, they were going to bring back Evolve. They were going to do a cruiserweight division, all this sort of stuff. They were going to do Japan NXT and India NXT and Mexico NXT. All of it's been scrapped. And the way that they're coal in talent at the moment, it worries me about NXT UK, considering that was William Regal's baby. And obviously Triple H run NXT, but NXT UK was really William Regal's little little love child. Really,
Yeah.
it was born over him. He was like, "You need to do this," and Triple H went, "Okay." And then they did that one-off pay-per-view in Blackpool, and it done so well. Triple H goes, "Regal knows what he's talking about," but it was Regal's sort of love child, if you know what I mean. So I'm just worried what's going to happen with NXT UK.
Me too, mate. And I don't know. And just before you move on to the Rumble, because we'll finish on the Rumble because it's a great place to live. I mean, we will be doing another show before the Rumble, but still, we'll finish on the Rumble. I just want to make a really, really important point that I think both of us, we spoke about it 3 months ago that we wanted to mention it. So, you've probably forgot, and I haven't. This goes to people that are on that watch our YouTube channel that we massively, massively appreciate. Anyone who tunes in and likes and comments and enjoys our content, it makes it worthwhile for us doing it. People on Twitter, but mainly it's the people that are in our Facebook group that obviously both of us run. The amount of arguments that we've got into, like, I'm not going to name names. The person that we ended up having to block, the person that we had to block probably thinks we're both assholes. But that's because that said person, am I right or am I wrong, is completely single-minded and has rose-tinted glasses on. And I have to make this point, and I'm going to have my piece, and I know that Kev wants to have his say as well. So I'm going to have my say on it, and Kev, I'll let you say whatever you want to say on it. My point on it is very, very simple. Whether it's on our YouTube channel, whether it's on our Twitter pages, whether it's in our Facebook group, which is where 99% of mine and Kev's problems come from.
Yeah.
And I am going to start saying something on our page because I've had enough of it. And the people who are doing it, that also watch our YouTube videos, you know who you are. When I put on a Monday afternoon, and this riles me up, when I put on and Kev puts on Monday night pre-show post, what are you all expecting? And all you get is trash, same old stuff, or constantly making jokes. Oh, it'll be 2 hours of promos, and you've seen all the comments. You get it on yours. Yeah. I am going to start commenting. Don't, in capital letters, don't fucking watch it then.
Yeah. You know what I was going to say?
On a post, me and Kev, we're enjoying being content creators on YouTube. We're enjoying running our Facebook group. We are trying to just create a conversation. We want a happy, positive conversation where you can say what you want. And if you think that Raw is that bad that all you want to do is slag it off and tear it down and say how bad it is, do not post your negative shit on my post that isn't productive. Simply do not watch it. If you think Raw or WWE is that bad that you have nothing good to say about it, don't fucking watch it. And if you're not watching it, don't comment on our post.
Mate,
wait until Kev makes his AEW post and comment on that.
Yeah. And I have to say the exact same thing, and I hate it. It's not just in wrestling, I've got to say. It's with lots of other things as well. Star Wars, Star Trek, all this movie stuff as well. It's just, like you're saying, people will post, and it's like, the usual shit. And it's like, but you're going to watch it, though, aren't you? You're still going to watch it. You don't have to. You can turn it off. It's the same thing with the going a little bit off topic now with the Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, right? So if you go on any of the groups, lots of people are like, "Oh, this is absolutely trash. I can't believe people are watching this." You're watching it, mate. If you don't like it, turn the fucking thing off.
Exactly.
Turn it off.
Exactly.
If it winds you up so much, turn it off. It's not killing you. No one's got a gun to your head.
No, and all you're doing is spreading your negative shit onto everybody else. And I'm not being funny. I ain't got time for it, and I know Kev ain't got time for it. Like, when I and Kev, when we put our post up saying, what are we looking forward to? What do we think is going to happen? If you have got nothing positive to say or nothing good to say, don't comment. And if you're not enjoying it, don't watch it. Look at what I've done with AEW, right? I have very limited time. I have a lot of things that I want to do. The podcast is one of them. There's a lot of other things that I want to do. I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. There's a lot of family commitments. I have only got enough time. I already struggle with Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. I already struggle watching all them three, which is why I've never watched NXT UK as much as I've wanted to. Is AEW good? In my opinion, yes. I don't watch it, and I love Kenny Omega. I love the Young Bucks. I love Daniel Bryan. I love CM Punk. They have that many people that I absolutely have idolized for years, and I would like to watch it. Every time I watch it, I don't enjoy it. So I don't watch it because I've not got time anyway. I'm squeezing time in. I'm not doing something else that I would get more enjoyment out of because I've chose to watch AEW instead, and I don't enjoy it. But you don't get me. Have you ever had me when you put on your AEW pre or post show? Do you ever get me going? Oh, it's fucking shit. It started. No, because I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's very, very good wrestling matches on it. Technically, the wrestling on it is brilliant. Technically, there's some very, very good wrestling matches on WWE as well. The aesthetic around AEW and what they're trying to do, they're trying to recreate something that you can't recreate. They're trying to recreate an Attitude Era feel, but you've not got the Attitude Era. You've not got Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H. You can't do it. For me, it doesn't work.
You can't say the stuff that you could get away with back then either. You can't do it.
And that was a big thing. That for me was a big thing. So that they, not their fault, they're only half-assing it because there's things that they can't do and things that they can't say. So for me, because it's half-assed, I don't get any enjoyment out of it. And these AEW warriors who hate WWE and AEW is the greatest thing ever, constantly saying, WWE don't do any long storytelling, AEW do. When AEW do long storytelling? Because for me, they don't.
You get all these sort of AEW warriors, and they're like, "Oh, WWE is shit." I guarantee you, they're watching it every week, mate. They're probably sitting there in their WWE t-shirt with their belts on the wall. Don't piss in the water, mate. This is, you watch everything, yeah. You might not like it, but you watch it. And you're totally right. I watch NXT, AEW, should I say? And some of it is good, and some of it is just as bad as WWE. So it's got the best of both worlds. Just enjoy it for what it is. It's never like, I will put money on it right now, and I will tell everyone it is not WWE. It is never in 1,000 years. It is never going to be where WWE is. It's not going to push them out of business. This is a company that announced that they had a £8 million loss last year in 2021. They made £8 million loss. WWE made 221 million in that same year. Now you could say, well, it's a new business. Yeah, well, fine, but stop going on like, oh, it's better than WWE. They're going to make WWE out of business and all that, mate. You ain't shitting nothing. It is. At the end of the day, I said this to my wife, in 10 years' time, AEW is going to be where Impact is right now. The simple reason is because they've got 10 fingers in 10 pies all at the same time, and it just doesn't work.
My very last point is this: if I had more time, I would watch AEW purely because I think that the wrestling on it is fantastic because they have so many top wrestlers. The actual wrestling on it, the matches that they put on are incredible. And for me, it is better. It's a better standard than WWE because there isn't the overproduction and it isn't scripted, and the wrestlers have more creativity and freedom. So the wrestling matches are better. And that side of it, I massively enjoy more than WWE. But the promos, I don't know. They all feel off. Even when it is Punk and Cody Rhodes, they all just, something doesn't feel right. And I don't know what it is, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But when I watch an episode of AEW, I go, that match was good. That match was good. Yeah, that match was good. But I don't care. I'm not invested in anything. There's no stories that really pull you in. That really, like, I know it got, and we'll never know why, and we will save this for our next show next week. It's too big of a topic. But the Roman Brock thing, the Roman Brock and Heyman triangle thing, I was engrossed in that. When Heyman was saying, I wasn't protecting Brock from you, I was protecting you from Brock. And I was, oh my God. And like, I was pulled in. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I couldn't wait for next week to find out what. Like, I watched AEW every week for over a year. I don't remember feeling that ever.
Yeah.
Like, The only moment that I had like that was Punk's return. That was awesome. Yeah, it was. But
I think in
from a storyline basis, nothing
yeah,
grips me, and that's why I can't watch it.
I think in the next 5 years it's going to be so interesting because I think in the next 5 years, God forbid it's not true, but I think Vince is gone in the next 5 years. Deed, and we'll see where AEW is. But I guarantee you, I mean, I see him on TV with Austin Theory, and I think,
yeah, it's cringe.
Yeah, man, he is old.
That's one old motherfucker.
He's aged bad. He is aged bad, and it's like he looks like a proper old man now. He looks like Ric Flair does. He's like and I think if he pushes himself even more, he could be an early grave. But I think over the next 5 years, I know it's really bad saying, but I don't see him lasting for the next 5 years. Within the next 5 years, it'd be really interesting.
I think, do you know what? To be fair, he looks after himself. He's healthy. Yeah. He'll have great doctors. He's only mid-70s,
It'd be interesting to see where he is in 5 years because there's going to be a point where he's I don't think he'd be able to do it. And
but look,
go on. No, I was going to say now there must be something going on because the segments he's doing with Austin Theory are pre-recorded, and the last 4 SmackDowns and Raws he's not been there. He's not been there at all. It's been run by Pritchard and others.
Are changing then. So things are changing for the good. Look, we need to wrap it up on the Rumble. Brock and Roman we'll have to speak about next time. The very last thing, I just want to... Me and Kev are very, very open. Me and Kev both enjoy debates. Me and Kev debate often and have difference of opinion. That's fine. If anyone on YouTube, on Twitter, or in our Facebook group, which is where most of it happens, if anyone has a constructive argument that wants to have a debate, I'm more than happy for that. What I can't stand is people who only want to push one side of the argument and flat out refuse to see the other side of the argument. They just shut off that side of it. That bit doesn't exist. They just want to focus on how great AEW is and how shit WWE is. And I've not got time for it. So if you're just so single-minded and you've got rose-tinted sunglasses on where you just see things in this colourful AEW is magical and amazing world, which in terms of wrestling, it is fantastic. And if you love AEW and you think AEW's so much better than WWE, you have that opinion. In my opinion, they're both very, very good at different things and are both very, very shit at different things. That is how I would put it. I'm very, very much see both sides of the argument, and I'm happy to have a debate. But the person that we did block, am I right or am I wrong, was only seeing one side of the argument. Was very, very negative. Was putting very He was trying to start arguments, not start debates and healthy conversation. He was trying to trigger arguments. We don't want that in our group. We don't want, and that's what it was. It was very sarcastic, very snotty, very, you like WWE. Well, you clearly don't understand wrestling. That's not healthy. That's not, that's not if you want to comment, so like tonight, for example, as soon as we go off air, I'm going to put on my post, Monday Night Raw pre-show, what are you guys expecting? If you want to comment, I'm not expecting much, to be honest, because I've watched Raw for the last couple of months, and to be honest, I think Raw's been trashed for the last few months. But I hope that tonight's show was better. Do you know what?
Last week was really good.
But it was good.
But Fatal 4-Way was really good.
It was amazing, but do you know what I'd comment to that? If someone put, I'm not expecting anything from tonight's Raw because it's been shite for months, I agree with you. I think the majority of the Raws for the last 12 months have been poor, but let's hope that tonight's Raw will be better. That's constructive. I'm here for that all day. What I won't have is commenting negative shit. It's just trash. It's 100%.
There's a few comments that's always on there. There's always a comment on there that goes, hopefully better than last week. And that's the sort of thing we're after. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Hey, fine. What I'm not going to have anymore Is it anyone that puts trash? Ha ha. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
don't fucking watch it then.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Oh my god, it'll be 2 hours of promos and 10 minutes of wrestling. But this,
And then what they'll do, and then what they'll do later on, they'll post on another thing going, "Oh, their match from Raw was crap," or "Their match from Raw wasn't very good." And it's a bit like, hang on a minute, I thought you don't watch it because you just shit all over it.
Exactly.
It's double
if
standard.
If you hate it that much, don't watch it. Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm not gonna have. I'm not gonna have double standards. I can't be asked with it. I have my problems with AEW, and I've explained them, and I don't enjoy them. I would never turn around to anyone who said I'm a massive AEW fan. I'm never going to go, "You're an AEW fan, wanker." I'm not going to do that. That's your opinion.
Yeah,
I'd go, "Good for you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I think the wrestling's fantastic on it." For me, I've always been pulled in with great storylines and great storytelling. That's what's always attracted me to WWE. And when you mix that with great wrestling, you have magic. For me, AEW, great wrestling, no stories. Now, yes, there's been one or two very well told stories. One or two in 3 years. It's not good enough.
It's because they're so stacked. They've got so many people. They've got too many people to feature.
A versus B.
And the problem is because they don't feature everyone, and they're struggling.
Kev, if you tune into an AEW and they say, right, tonight it's going to be Daniel Bryan versus Aleister Black, you're going to go, oh, that'll be a good match. Yeah, but why though? Why are they having a match? Is it for a title shot? Is it for a number one contender shot? Is it for just?
Especially someone.
If it's for nothing, what's the point?
Especially someone like Daniel Bryan as well, and Malachi. And you got, I think CM Punk recently has been criticised as well with the bookings. So he's been fighting these younger types, and they're like, why? And they're like, what does it prove? What does he gain from it? Nothing, because he goes over, so it doesn't do anything for the younger guys, and it's doing nothing for him. I think the best thing at the moment, like he's going for MJF. I think it's going to be an amazing match, and the two of them on the mic are killing it.
Yeah,
but you can't really do anything else. You know what I mean?
That is good, and I watch bits on YouTube, and MJF and Punk's promos have been incredible, and I've loved watching them on YouTube. But that's why I just watch clips on YouTube, because I don't want to watch a 2-hour Dynamite or an hour's Rampage to have 1 10-minute where I go, I enjoyed that, because the rest of it, I'm sat there going,
I mean, my
fucking hell, it's a good wrestling match, but what's the story?
AEW, my wife and my daughter watch AEW, and it's on in the background, and that's fine and that. So they watch it more than me. And this week was the first Dynamite over here in the UK, so they watched it. And my wife actually turned around after it finished, because she said the women's match was really good. The Fatal 4-Way women's match, or I think it was a tag team actually, death match it was. She said that was really good. And then after it finished, she went, "Is that it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's only like 3 matches." She went, "Oh, what's the point in that?" And so she was like a bit frustrated that it was only 4 matches, but also didn't see the point of the show.
Exactly, and that's where I am. But just before we move on to Rumble and then finish up, let me ask you this: you think back to Stone Cold Rock, Triple H Michaels, Triple H Taker, Michaels Taker, Stone Cold and Vince. What do you remember now that when you think you got that smile and that warm feeling in your chest and you go, oh my God, memories? Is it the matches or is it the story?
It's the whole thing, isn't it? It's the whole thing. It's the part of the storyline. It's the storyline.
But it has to be the story, because without the story, the match is nothing.
Yeah, definitely.
The matches were incredible. But let's just, you think back to Triple H versus Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as special guest referee.
Yeah.
Think of that match now in your head, right? Yeah. Now try your best to pretend you've never watched wrestling before. You've not seen any of that, and you're watching it now for the first time. Completely blank your head of everything. If I told you now that nothing had happened, Triple H and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, nothing had happened, and then the night before the pay-per-view, say the Friday Night SmackDown, they just announced it's going to be Undertaker versus Triple H inside Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. Yes, you'd be excited for the match. And then the match would happen on the pay-per-view and you would enjoy the match. Would you still think about it and get that warm feeling in your chest and have so many great memories if it was just plucked out of nothing, this great wrestler versus this great wrestler with this great wrestler as a special guest ref? Because that's all AEW do. 99% of what AEW do, great wrestler versus great wrestler match, go. There's no story. There's no rivalry. There's nothing. You remember the great matches, but the matches are made great because of the story. You're pulled into the story because you've spent 3 months every Monday Night Raw. Shawn Michaels attacking Triple H from behind, and then you wouldn't see Triple H for a couple of weeks to be injured, and then Shawn Michaels will be walking backstage after the match. Triple H would blindside him, and it'll be a 10-minute brawl. And you go, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And that would go on, and then they'd be cutting promos in each other, and it would last months. And eventually, you get this monster pay-per-view match. That's what's special. And AEW for me, you've had Omega and Page, which should have been done better because the story was there to be told. But when you have Adam Page just not there for a month and then he comes randomly in it.
Well, it's the Adam Page versus Daniel Bryan. Both of those matches that they've had for the title are out of this world. Probably the best wrestling matches you'll see this year
100%,
and last. But they're on normal Dynamite. It's like sticking Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns on a SmackDown.
Yeah. For the title, it's like Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the title in a 1-hour brawl.
Yeah.
I don't know, but how many stories have AEW done well? Because people go, "Oh, well, Omega and Adam Page," but it was intermittent.
Yeah,
there was a bit of an argument, and then there was nothing for the next month, and then the next promo they do, you'd be like, "Hang on, are these two enemies are friends?" Because they're just talking they're talking like they don't really like each other, but it's just like, I know we don't like each other, but whatever. How many stories in 3 years have AEW done that was like MJF and Punk? I've enjoyed their promos, and that pulls you in, and you can't wait for that match because it's been done so well that Tony Khan has got behind it and gave it TV time. Punk and MJF have gone out and they've put their all into it and they've made magic. Their match is going to be incredible because of that. Because every single week, a little bit more of the story, a little bit more of the story, a little bit more. And it goes and goes and goes.
And I like the fact with MJF as well. We've got the Wardlow underlining thing as well, where he's sort of like using Wardlow for everything. So if Wardlow wins a title, it's MJF straight away, and all this sort of stuff. So there's a little bit bubbling under there as well. I want to wrap it up there. I know we were going to talk about the Rumble, but I think we'll do that on the next video.
Yeah, that's
but yeah, look, I mean, it's been a great chat back.
Yeah,
mate. It's been really good getting back and chatting.
Yeah,
so we'll leave it here. Look, I've been Kev, the Nexus.
I've been Dan, and we'll see you in the next one, guys, which will probably be next week. We're going to try and do at least one a week, if not two, if we've got time. So see you in the next one, guys.
Yep.